Let me paint a scene that plays out in thousands of households every single year. Your wife calls you at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. She's crying, but they're happy tears. After 3 rounds of interviews and 2 weeks of agonizing silence, she got the job. Director of Operations. $85,000 base plus bonus. You leave work early. You pick up flowers and a bottle of Dom Perignon that costs more than your weekly grocery budget. That night, you sit on the back porch watching the sun go down, doing napkin math like giddy teenagers. Combined income $165,000. You've never seen a number that big attached to your life. The possibilities feel endless. You talk about finally finishing the basement, about switching the kids to that Montessori school across town, about whether you should look at houses in Westbrook Heights, where your successful friends live. You fall asleep that night feeling like you've crossed some invisible finish line, like the struggle is finally over. 18 months later, you're sitting in a financial advisor's office because you and your wife haven't stopped arguing about money in 6 weeks. Your combined credit card debt is $23,000. Your savings account has $4,200 in it. You've been making $165,000 a year and you have nothing to show for it except a fancier address and a car payment that makes you nauseous. The advisor asks a simple question. Where did the money go? You both stare at each other. Neither of you knows. My name is Matt, and I've spent the last decade studying why households earning 6 figures often have smaller net worths than families earning half as much. If your bank account feels emptier every month despite promotions, bonuses, and 2 people working full-time, you need to hear what I'm about to say. Smash that subscribe button and drop a like because this information could save your financial future. Today, we're exploring a counterintuitive truth that nobody talks about. Adding a second income to your household might be the worst thing that ever happened to your wealth. There's a psychological phenomenon that kicks in the moment your household crosses certain income thresholds. Researchers call it mental accounting. I call it the abundance trigger. When money feels scarce, we guard it. We think twice. We compare prices. We ask ourselves hard questions before every purchase. But when money feels plentiful, something shifts in our brain chemistry. The guardian falls asleep. The gate swings open. Suddenly, decisions that would have required a week of deliberation happen in 30 seconds while standing in line at Best Buy. That second income doesn't just add dollars to your account. It adds permission to your psychology. It whispers that you've graduated from the class of people who need to worry, that scrutinizing purchases is beneath you now. You stop seeing spending as a trade-off and start seeing it as a reward you've earned through your labor. The problem is that rewards don't build wealth. Restraint does. Nobody wakes up and decides to waste $40,000 a year. The money disappears through a process I call invisible bleeding. It's a slow leak from 100 tiny punctures rather than one dramatic wound. Consider how differently you approach decisions when you're financially stretched versus when you feel flush. Tight budget thinking. The car needs new tires. Let me call 4 shops, check for coupons, and see if I can push it another month. Abundant budget thinking. The car needs new tires. I'll drop it at the dealership tomorrow. Whatever it costs, it costs. That mental shift might represent a $400 difference on tires alone, but it's not just tires, it's everything. It's choosing the restaurant without looking at the menu prices. It's Amazon purchases you don't remember making. It's the gym membership for a gym you visited twice. It's premium gasoline because your car deserves it. It's organic everything because you're past the regular stuff. Individually, these choices feel insignificant. Aggregated across a year, they represent a small fortune flowing out of your life and into the pockets of corporations who understand your psychology better than you do. Here's something that will make you uncomfortable if you've never calculated it. A second income isn't free money. It comes with enormous costs that most families never bother to subtract. Your wife's $85,000 salary sounds massive, but what does it actually net after you account for the infrastructure required to earn it? Childcare for 2 kids, $24,000 annually. Second vehicle payment, insurance, gas, maintenance, $9,600. Work wardrobe and dry cleaning, $3,000. Lunches, coffee, convenient food because nobody has time to cook, $7,000. House cleaning service because weekends are for recovery, $4,800. Higher tax bracket eating into every dollar, $8,000 in additional federal and state taxes. Subscriptions and services that save time, $2,400. That's nearly $59,000 in costs directly attributable to maintaining the second career. Your wife's net contribution to household wealth isn't $85,000. It's closer to $26,000. She's trading 2,000 hours of her year for roughly $13 an hour in actual household benefit. And that calculation doesn't include the stress, the exhaustion, the impact on the marriage, or the childhood moments neither of you will witness because you're both trapped in offices. I'm not saying she shouldn't work. I'm saying you should understand the real math before you treat that salary as spendable income. The most destructive decision most two-income families make happens at a banker's desk. When the bank calculate how much house you can afford, they use your combined gross earnings. They apply a formula that says you can safely spend up to 43% of gross income on total debt payments. On $165,000, that formula tells you that you can afford $5,900 per month in debt obligations. So, you buy the house in Westbrook Heights, the one with the 3-car garage and the kitchen island that looks like a magazine cover. The payment is $3,800, but that's fine because the bank said you could handle $5,900. Here's what the bank didn't mention. They don't care if you build wealth. They don't care if you retire. They don't care if your marriage survives the financial pressure. They care about getting repaid, and their model suggests you'll keep making payments even if it means sacrificing everything else. That $3,800 mortgage requires both incomes to service. Neither of you can stop working. Neither of you can get sick for more than a few weeks. Neither of you can take a risk, start a business, or pause to figure out what you actually want from life. You bought a beautiful house. You also bought a pair of handcuffs. From the outside, a two-income household pulling $165,000 looks successful. The cars are new, the vacations are posted on Instagram, the kids have every extracurricular activity available. From the inside, the reality is often terrifying. There's no cushion, no slack, no room for error. Everything depends on both people showing up to work every single day, performing at peak capacity, and maintaining their current earning level forever. What happens when one of you burns out? What happens when the company downsizes? What happens when a parent gets sick and needs full-time care? What happens when your teenager goes through a crisis that requires someone to be fully present? The high fixed cost two-income household has no answer to these questions except panic. You've built a machine that only functions at maximum capacity. There's no idle mode. There's no backup generator. There's just relentless forward motion until something breaks. And something always breaks. There's a cruel mechanism built into human psychology that makes lifestyle upgrades almost impossible to reverse. Researchers call it hedonic adaptation. We call it the lifestyle ratchet. Every upgrade you make becomes your new normal within weeks. The excitement fades, the gratitude disappears. What once felt luxurious now feels baseline. That first month in the new house feels magical. By month 6, you're annoyed that the master bathroom doesn't have heated floors like your neighbors. That new car feels incredible for 90 days. Then you start noticing the nicer model in your coworker's parking spot. You can never catch satisfaction because it moves away from you at the same speed you move toward it. And here's the brutal part. While upgrades become invisible almost immediately, downgrades remain painful for a very long time. Going from a 2,000 square foot house to a 3,500 square foot house feels great for a month. Going from 3,500 back to 2,000 would feel like failure for years. This asymmetry traps you. You can always go up, but you can never go back down without experiencing it as loss. So you fight to maintain the elevated lifestyle even when it no longer makes logical sense, even when it requires debt, even when it damages your marriage and your health. Where you live determines who you compare yourself to, and who you compare yourself to determines what you believe is normal. When your income jumped, you moved to a nicer area. This felt like success. It was actually a trap. Now you're surrounded by households playing the exact same game you're playing. Everyone looks prosperous. Everyone drives nice cars. Everyone talks about their kitchen remodel. Nobody talks about their credit card debt. Nobody mentions that their three missed paychecks from catastrophe. Nobody admits that their net worth is lower than the janitor who services their office building. Your reference point shifted. What used to feel extravagant now feels standard. What used to feel standard now feels deprived. You're not keeping up with the Joneses. You're keeping up with an illusion the Joneses carefully curate. They're doing the same with you. It's a collective hallucination that costs everyone their financial future. At the core of the two-paycheck paradox is a missing piece of information. What is enough? Without a clear, specific, written answer to that question, there's no amount of income that will ever feel sufficient. $165,000 feels like it should be enough, but without definition, it simply becomes the new floor. You need more specific numbers attached to your life. What does your ideal day look like? What does it actually cost? What possessions do you genuinely need versus which ones are performance for others? How much money would it take to feel truly secure? Most people have never answered these questions. They're just chasing more without knowing what more is for. This is why people earning $400,000 often feel as financially stressed as people earning $80,000. The problem isn't the income. The problem is the undefined consumption that expands to match whatever income exists. The most financially secure two-income families I've studied share a common practice. They pretend one income doesn't exist. All fixed expenses, house payment, utilities, insurance, groceries, essential transportation, are sized to fit comfortably within the smaller of the two salaries. The larger salary is captured at the source, automatically transferred to investment accounts before it can mix with spending money. This creates something miraculous: margin. Margin means that when one person gets laid off, the family doesn't miss a mortgage payment. They just stop saving for a while. Margin means that when a child needs more attention, one parent can reduce hours or step away entirely without financial disaster. Margin means options, and options are what wealth actually provides. The house in Westbrook Heights doesn't provide options, it eliminates them. It's not an asset, it's an obligation that holds you hostage. There's a critical difference between appearing wealthy and being wealthy. Appearing wealthy means driving a car that impresses people. Being wealthy means owning assets that generate income. Appearing wealthy means living in a prestigious zip code. Being wealthy means the ability to stop working without your life collapsing. Appearing wealthy requires spending everything you earn. Being wealthy requires keeping significant portions of what you earn. Most two-income households optimize for appearance. They construct elaborate displays of success while building almost nothing underneath. Their lifestyle is an expensive movie set, impressive from the front, hollow behind the facade. Real wealth is boring. It's a brokerage statement that grows quietly. It's equity in properties that produce rental income. It's the ability to say no to opportunities that don't align with your values. You cannot purchase real wealth with consumption. You can only purchase it with restraint. If restructuring your entire financial life sounds overwhelming, start with one simple practice. The next time either of you receives a raise, bonus, or windfall, implement a 180-day buffer. For 6 full months, change absolutely nothing about your lifestyle. Let the extra money accumulate in a holding account. Resist every temptation to upgrade, improve, or reward yourself. This practice breaks the psychological link between earning and spending. It proves to your nervous system that you can receive money without immediately converting it to possessions. After 180 days, you can make intentional decisions about the accumulated funds. Pay down debt, fund investments, create a true emergency reserve. The key word is intentional. Most financial decisions are reactive. We receive and we immediately spend. The buffer creates space for thought. Here's what I want you to consider tonight after the screen goes dark. Is your second income building your family's security, or is it funding an increasingly fragile lifestyle that requires both of you to keep running forever? Is that money flowing into assets that will eventually set you free, or is it flowing into liabilities that dig your trap deeper every month? Are you using your earning power to create options, or are you using it to eliminate them? The answers matter more than almost anything else you'll consider this year. If this conversation made you see your household finances differently, forward it to your partner. This isn't a video to watch alone, it's a starting point for the most important discussion you might have this year. Thanks for watching. My name is Matt. I'll see you next time.